Hi folks, it is Carrie with Trail Traveler, and we're going to do an install today. And we have to do this install in order to do another install, so we'll get to that. But as you know, with the Jeep here, we have a Baja Designs light bar, we have Baja Designs LP4s, we have Cal lights up here, we have lights on the back, white lights for backup. So I've got 4 things that are going on right now, and the Jeep has the original tow package. Well, that came with the 4 standard auxiliary switches, but now I need 5. So it's time to do something else. Without just adding individual switches by themselves, I wanted a complete system that I could grow with, and something that for other people, if you don't have the Mopar auxiliary switches, you're going to need some kind of switch system. Well, just as I was getting ready to try and figure out what I wanted to do, Auxbeam reached out to me and said, hey, would you like to try our switch system? Well, it seemed like a good idea because I was in the market for one, and so they sent this one to me. Now, this is an 8 switch system. So you have 8 individual switches on here that can be toggled in different ways. And we're going to go over some of those features later on. But this is the piece that goes inside. Then you have a handful of these stickers that can go on that say light bar, light cubes, roof, rear, backup, cargo, amber, rack, bumper, rock, underglow, whip, windshield lights, all kinds of things, lockers, sway bars, horns, fridge, auxiliary, air. So you can try and find the right sticker to put on here to visually show what it is. Now this piece is going to go inside on the dash, and trying to figure out how to mount it seemed like that was going to be one of my bigger issues, because I didn't want to put holes in the dash to put bolts in. And I have the 67 Designs mount system in there, and I just happened to have an available arm that had the 20mm ball on it. Well, I had the 20mm ball mount from something else, and so what I did was I 3D printed a little adapter. So this is going to go up on the dash without drilling any holes, without putting in any screws. So that's going to work well. Then you have 2 other components. You have a 60 amp breaker. So we're going to take power from, or negative from the battery and go into here. We're going to take positive from the battery, go to one side of the breaker, and then go from the other side of the breaker into the box itself. So I'll open this up. Okay, so we have a fuse puller and some extra fuses in here. And on this side, we have our positive and negative to the battery. We have a connector that's going to go all the way back to here. And then we have fuses, 2 5s, 2 10s, 2 20s, and 2 30s. So I can determine what I want on what circuit. And then you very simply attach wires in here, put the wire in, tying it down, you're done. And all you're doing is the positive, I believe. I don't think you have to run both. You can probably just run to ground on things, but it has positive and negative on here. So we just run our individual lights into here and we're good to go. So this should be, hopefully, a fairly easy install. The main thing about it is going to be figuring out where to mount the control box, and I think somewhere right underneath here is going to work. And then we need to run the wires from that to the panel, and that there's a grommet right around here that all my other wires go through the firewall into the interior. So I'm going to be able to run through that. So for that, I usually take some kind of stiffer wire, run it through there, tie it to what I want to pull through, and then pull that through. And it usually goes pretty easy. So I'm not expecting this to be, you know, an all-day job. It should be like an hour of getting this thing up and running. Then we can install some new lights. So let's get going. Well, right, for the moment anyway, I'm still working on exactly how I want everything to get mounted and where I want things to get mounted. I tried putting the control box over on that side. I tried putting it on this side. I just wasn't happy with anything. So right now, it's actually secured to the top of the fuse box, which seems like a pretty good solution for right now. And then tucked back in here right now, I have the lead to the negative side. I have the circuit breaker with the lead to the positive side. So I need to connect those to the battery. But before I do anything else, I need to run the wire to the switch panel that's inside, because if that wire doesn't reach over to here, I have a whole other issue, and I'm gonna have to figure out where to put this to where I can reach the battery and reach the wire, or figure something else out. So first things first, now I've got to run that wire, and it's going to go from here straight across over to the driver's side, through the firewall, and then up onto the dash. And hopefully that's going to be long enough. If so, the rest of this is going to be a piece of cake.
A few moments later.
Okay, well, this was a tight fit, getting this all the way over to where I wanted it to, but it did fit. And I'll show you how I ran it inside in just a minute. But right now, we have to get the wiring hooked up. So I have my negative wire here, and I'm just gonna bring this around the battery, and this will go over here, and then the positive will go over on that side. Now, if I remember right, yep, all of my stuff here is 10 mil. So that should make things go pretty easy. All right. When I'm done, I'm going to come around here and I'm going to zip tie some wires together to just kind of clean this all up. Now we need to get the positive side. And again, I'm just going to go right through, right along with everything else here. And back to this one. Now, I already have lights and things hooked up in different ways. So as I go and start migrating everything over to the Auxbeam controller, some of this will get cleaned up along the way as we just move everything into there. So now we have the control box set up, we have the switch box set up. It's really time to start connecting some things to this and make sure things work. Okay, we've got the wire that comes from the control box over here down into the firewall, and that's going to come up underneath the dash. So I've got it tucked in along here. I pulled this panel off, and I popped this speaker panel off so I could run the wire behind there. It's tucked in behind the window, comes over here to the connector, and then over to the switch panel. And that's where we're at right now. Next, we're going to decide like what some of the things that we're going to put on the switch panel. Then we need to get things wired. Now our final step is to connect the accessory port to it, and that way it will power on when things turn on. So first I'm going to run the wire up into here and connect that. Then we have this piece that came with it. So what we're going to do here is we'll be connecting this wire to this, and then inside the fuse box we're going to be pulling a fuse, putting it in here, and dropping this into place. So I think for our purposes we're going to be using the cigarette lighter because that one is accessory based. So I'll get everything pulled apart and we'll see if we can find the right fuse. Well, so now I wanted to show you what I've done to mount the switch panel in the Jeep. So I've got a 67 Designs arm coming up here which has a ball on the end, and I had the plate here from an old iPad mount, and these components come with it. So a lot of people are just going to screw it into the dash or something like that to be able to mount it or mount it flush somewhere else. But what I did is I took my 3D printer and this white piece that's here, let me see if I can get a better view of it. I made that to connect to that old iPad mount so it would connect to the 67 Designs arm. So moving around here, I have very easy access to everything with my hands on the steering wheel. So I'm pretty happy with how this has come together. So now the next step is going to be to figure out what things I want on which switch. And I don't have a lot. Right now there's going to be 5 things. So I'll use some of the blank ones on some of these, and I'll get this filled out. Okay, so I've got the basic stickers on there. I'll probably pull them off and get them straight. It's really cold in the garage today. It's snowing outside, so I had to finish this up inside. Now I'm going to take you back around under the hood because there's one last thing that has to be done, and I can't quite do it. So I'm going to show you my little workaround. Okay, we're now under the hood here, and we've got the main electronics box. And there's one more wire here. And as I showed earlier, there's this piece here. So you're going to connect this wire onto here somewhere, go into the fuse box, pull a fuse out of something that's run by having the ignition on. In my case, I was going to use the cigarette lighter, and pretty great one because it's only on when the ignition's running, and it's a small fuse. So I go to pull it out and put it in here. Well, this is too big. So the fuses that are in here are way smaller than what's expected here, which also means this side, which would then plug into the fuse box, is too big. So I'm not able to do that. So for the time being, I'm going to have this set up to where it's always on. Maybe not a good idea for some people. Might not even be a good idea for me in the long run if that switch box, is always on, it's always drawing power, but it's only LEDs that are running. So I don't think there's going to be a big power drain. But I'm going to leave all this wire in here in case I decide to do something different, or in case I find a solution to this guy, or I want to just go ahead and run that through the firewall all the way over there to the cigarette lighter or something. But what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to loosen up the lead for the positive connection. I'm going to take the wire in here and just put it here on the positive side and tighten this back down. Okay, that's good and secure. And now when we go inside, we'll see that it's lit up, and that's good. And we can use the app to go ahead and get things configured. So the next thing is taking our existing lights, which were on the Mopar auxiliary switches, and moving them over. So this one all the way over here is going to be position 1, and then it's going to come this way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So right now I've got the light bar set up, and it says light bar in there, which is cool. And I'm going to start figuring out which things go on where, so I can then undo the wires from the auxiliary switches and get them moved over.
A few moments later.
Okay, we've got everything wired up for now. We got some other stuff to do later on, but everything is wired up in here. Everything's tested. So now I'm going to take you inside the dash and show you what it all looks like. I do want to show you one more thing before we go inside, and that's the app. And this makes setting things up so easy, because I can just come over here and turn that on. I've got the light bar on. I hit 2. I've got the LP4s on. 3 gives me my cow lights up here. And 5 turns my backup lights on. So I can do everything remotely. So when I get something wired, I don't have to run around, go over there, touch it, come back over here, make sure, because the way those ports are, it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So when you want to do the first one in the bottom row, that's number 5. So you have to go to the 5th one over. So just so you know when you're setting it up. Now I can also take the same sticker that's on there and apply it to the button on here, so everything matches and I know what everything is. So let's go inside. I'll show you the final setup. And there it is, all wrapped up. We have our front light bar, we have our cowl lights, we have our rear lights, we have the LP4s on the bumper, and light cubes is going to be revealed to you pretty soon when I get that piece wrapped up. And then I still have 3 extras I can add. So I think this is going to be a great system for us to do what we need it to do. Very pretty basic install, and it's got some cool features at a great price. So if you're looking for a switch panel to be able to add accessories to your any vehicle, not just a Jeep, but pretty much any vehicle, the Auxbeam one seems like it's a great deal for the price. There's more expensive ones out there for sure, and in terms of features, I don't know that they're really significantly better or different. I'm going to do some more research and see, because, well, we're going to be working on another vehicle soon. We're going to be needing to add some lights to it. So if this works out, maybe we'll get another one of these, or we'll start looking at something else and see really what do you get for that extra money. But if you have any comments about that and you have experience with one of the other brands, let us know in the comments about why that would be a better choice than what we have. So thanks for watching, everybody. This has been Kerry with Trail Traveler. Be safe out there. We'll see you on the trails.